Welcome back to the Void Compass. Today I want to talk about one of the biggest challenges that one can face when on an awakening journey. Now, whether that's a twin flame awakening journey or a more conventional one, if there is such a thing, this specific challenge is still a major sticking point for a lot of people. The challenge I'm talking about is the challenge of sexual transmutation. The repurposing of the energy that sits in the lower parts of your energetic chain, your root and your sacral chakra. How does this manifest as a challenge? When we express sexuality, which is at its most native energy, and we express it through the filters of mind, specifically the filter of lust, we remain stuck in a much more primal and base form of consciousness. When we begin to repurpose that and see it as energy, when we bring it up through the chain, we start to experience it in a more holistic manner, in a healthier manner. How does this specifically manifest as a challenge when you are awakening? How does this specifically manifest as a challenge within the context of a twin flame journey? So you experience soul recognition. If you're on this channel, you probably already know what that is. So again, I'm not going to get into it here. After soul recognition, after your initial build-up of energies phase, the energies repel. You are suddenly met with extreme rejection, abandonment, a grief that is inexplicable, that is unjustifiable. You are left completely alone with this challenge. Your mind scrambles to find its footing as you fall endlessly into a void, into an expanse. What does your mind lean on? How does your mind attempt to pull away from the experience of extreme pain? It moves as quickly as it can towards distraction, towards addiction, anything that will numb that pain. So suddenly what was perhaps a little bit more in balance becomes an absolute compulsive need, becomes a matter of survival. And your sexuality becomes a crutch with which you lean on whenever you are feeling the emptiness of what the dynamic is currently reflecting to you. This is challenging for a number of reasons. Expressing sexuality in an addictive manner is very challenging. Lust is a cruel master to serve, because it brings you so close to what is perceived in that moment as the divine. As you climb that ladder of pleasure and reach your climax, there is this brief moment where you can feel that unity, you can feel that closeness with what you're seeking. But it's only transient. because without warning, you are once again let go and dropped right back into the void whence you came. So it's a cruel dynamic to be trapped in. And there is nothing out there right now that is helping you move past that. On the contrary, there is so much content out there right now, whether you are looking on social media, whether you are looking at TV series, whether you're looking at advertisements, something as simple as that. Lust is continuously and pervasively bombarding you at every possible opportunity. Now, whether we want to go into why is this happening? Why is lust pushed so intensely in our society? Why is the current state of things the way it is? Why are women almost encouraged to empower themselves by overexposing and over-objectifying themselves? Leading them to disempower themselves and stay away from their sacred femininity and their actual sacred feminine power, disconnecting them from that, meanwhile acting as some form of siren and entrapping men within a state of lust, which in turn pulls men away from their purpose, from grounding their sacred purpose. Both sides are being disempowered by this dynamic. That is a topic all on its own. But what do we do about that? How do we get past that? When you're being bombarded to such a degree, how do you deal with that? Nothing is helping you externally to move past that. Everything is a reminder that that opportunity to enter that addictive state is right there. And I know what the pain is on this journey. Make no mistake about that. Do not think for a second that me talking with you today, this me, has not gone through that. I know what it means. I know how badly at times you want to feel that deep connection, and you resort to that addictive behavior to attempt to alleviate just a fragment of the weight of that suffering that you feel internally. So as always, on this channel, I like to leave you with something that you can walk away with. A technique, a concept, a new way of looking at something, a reminder, a mantra, something that you can walk away with and apply today, now, to bring yourself back into where you deserve and need to be, into the state that is your birthright. Remember, sinking deep below the surface of the water, into the depths where you can find yourself. This is always my goal, to bring you back to soul. But in the process, I don't want to invalidate where you're currently at. And from the comments that I'm reading, thank you so much, by the way. I read them all, even if I can't answer them all. I see that common theme. I know people are in pain. I see the common theme of people feeling absolutely lost, trapped between worlds. One specific comment alluded to as much. And this person said they're unable to interact with the old, and also unable to interact with the new and what they're seeking. Somehow trapped in between worlds, held in some sort of romantic stasis, some form of purgatory that doesn't allow you to progress. Again, I am no stranger to that. So let me take this moment to assure you that is a very natural part of this journey. Remember how essential being in the void is. You're in a space between worlds where you've left the old life and the old way of doing things. Nothing will ever be the same. Your interactions will never be the same. And yet you still haven't quite anchored in to a new way of doing things, into a new world, into a higher timeline. So you're sat in this void, and it can be experienced as frustrating, frightening, agonizing, crushingly lonely. I am no stranger to that. That is an essential part of this journey because you are being prepared for what comes next. You coming into the void is essential. One of the core phrases that kept returning to me when I was finding a name for this channel was I go into the void to lose the world and find myself. At first, the void is frightening. It's emptiness. It's an expanse. You can't see, you can't hear. And so the mind flails in absolute fear, starts flailing and writhing. There is no other to define itself by. There are no parameters. It's emptiness. And after a while, once you realize that it is in that void that you find your soul, it becomes your place of comfort and peace, a place that you can readily return to at any given moment in your day. It becomes your place of peace. It's sacred. It no longer frightens you. You seek it to find your balance. But I do want to leave you with a way of handling this build-up of energy that you feel in your lower chakras. Because it's a very real thing. And I know how frustrating it can be to be on this journey and to feel that nothing new is coming your way. No new romantic interactions are there. You can't quite seem to find any through road to intimacy with another. Maybe that's because intimacy at this point in time needs to be discovered within. And life will never give you anything that pulls you away from its soul's blueprint. Your soul has a plan. It knows exactly where you need to be, and you are exactly where you need to be right now, even if your mind is flailing and revolting at the idea that you should be alone at this point in time. So you feel that tension in your body. You feel that desire. You feel that craving. You have lustful fantasies that surface within you. You feel them coming up, and as your mind thinks of them, there's two sides of this. One side is feeling that heat rise in your body. I need to do something about this. And at the same time, there's also this sense of lack. The question arises, why don't I have this? Why do other people get to have this? Why am I still stuck here? What's wrong with me? A sense of frustration and resentment starts to build, combined with the heat that is rising. The best option becomes, I want to express this. I want to express this as lust, whether on my own or with another, if that option is available. And you know where that road leads. You've been down that road before. You know what it's like to be dropped again, coming so close to the divine, only to be dropped back into despair. That hollow feeling that ensues. How else can we deal with it? If you've watched any of my videos, you will know how much I promote self-love. And when I say self-love, I'm not talking about giving yourself a spa day, having a nice snack to eat that you enjoy. I'm talking about going deep into who you are, making your body a safe place for your soul to reside, dealing with the pain that you carry, not running away from it, but turning around, bringing your attention inward and loving it. So with that concept, how do you think I would approach the idea of a buildup of sexual lustful energy? Do we try to suppress it? Do we try to shun it? Do we mentally judge it as bad? No. Remove all of that. Look upon it lovingly. Watch it as the observer of your mind. Listen to what your mind is saying. Underneath that sudden surge of lust is a great, vast and deep pain that is attempting to hide and conceal itself from being seen. Breathe deep into it. Tell it that you understand why it feels the pain it does. Tell it that it is not alone, that you are ever present with it. Allow the emotional releases to come up. Allow the grief to surface. This is what you're here to transmute. This is what I also always like to do. Is take one hand on your heart. Put your left hand on your heart space. Start breathing into it. And with your right hand, place it on your sacral chakra. Hold it there. And I want you to imagine that your heart is warmth, is heat, fire like a furnace. And the buildup of sexual energy, that is just energy, is in this case a more watery, heavy type of energy that's continuing to build up and create a sense of pressure on the walls that attempt to contain it. And I want you to lovingly send heat down to this watery energy. And as we know, heat turns water into steam. It changes state. from liquid to gas. And imagine that this hot steam begins to rise back up through your chain towards your heart. And keep that cycle going. Breathe in deep while you do this. Be loving with yourself. Be accepting of what you're feeling in your body at this moment in time. We are never trying to suppress. We are acknowledging. We are accepting. We are validating. We are talking lovingly to ourselves throughout. You can't take this addictive, lustful approach to sexual energy with you where you want to go. It's incongruent with those higher timelines. You can't take it with you. You will be able to express that sexual energy in a much higher, more holistic manner, developing true intimacy and a connection with another, not based on pure primal need and physical sensation. But your sexual energy becomes a vehicle to not only create, but to connect deeper to the divine. You start moving out of just the physical body experience of it into the higher aspects of this experience. This is where that experience needs to go. This is how it needs to be expressed. And the vehicle to do this is always the frequency of love, which is why I always say, you need to treat yourself extremely lovingly. No matter how dark it may feel, no matter how heavy, how rejected, how abandoned that part of you feels, it's like that for a reason. It's pulling you inward. It's saying, love me the way that nobody else can and nobody else will. Because your love is completely and entirely your responsibility. Bring that energy back up through the chain. Bring it up to the higher chakras. Bring it up to your heart. Bring it further. Bring it up to your third eye. Bring it up past your crown. Redistribute it around your body where you feel that love needs to be. It doesn't have to settle here and only be expressed here. Lovingly bring it up through your chain and experience it differently. This is where you are headed. This is why you're alone. This is why you're celibate. You are learning to relate in a new way to the processes that are occurring within your body. And that takes time. Developing that intimacy takes time. It's an incubatory period that you need to afford yourself the time to experience. Don't try to rush out of it. This isn't some quick fix that is just going to get you to the next step. This is part of an ongoing process and a journey that will last for the rest of your life. There's no rush. Be loving with yourself. With that, I'm going to leave you, but I will see you the next time on the Void Compass with more.